In this session, two Amazon experts will perform a live Amazon product listing analysis, and they will focus on common optimization mistakes and give practical tips on how to boost visibility and SEO that you can also implement immediately after watching this session. And my two guests will be Noah Wickam from My Amazon Guy and Sumner Hobart. He's the founder of Amazon Escape Plan. Before I continue with the guests, I wanted to say thanks to our sponsors who are supporting this live stream. The first one is VAA Philippines. They provide expert virtual assistant services for e-commerce sellers. The next company is AMZ One Step. They are an Amazon creatives agency that help brands to grow by creating product photos, videos, and content. The third company helping to live stream this session is Adspert, which is an AI-powered Amazon ads optimization tool. And TrueOps is a provider of affordable and comprehensive Amazon reimbursement services. And finally, last but not least, Hero Fulfillment specializes in stress-free fulfillment and warehousing in Europe. So you will find the links to these companies below in the description of this video. And now let me introduce two guests for this session. So hello, Noah, and hello, Sumner.
Hey, hello. Great to be here.
Hi, guys. So I think, Sumner, could you introduce yourself shortly? Noah will follow, and then Noah will start with the session. So, Sumner.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Sumner Hobart. My wife and I have been selling on Amazon since 2018. Some of you may know us from YouTube. I guess Noah from YouTube. We're currently here in Vietnam, so it's a bit late. So I'm prepared for this. We've got a lot of great value, but in case I might be a little bit slow, just give me a second, because after this I'll be going to bed. But we got some great stuff. So yeah, we pretty much been selling on Amazon. Like, we've seen just kind of holes in the market of, like, for example, back in the day, figuring out how to create a shipping plan, right? Like when we were starting off, we're like, oh, there's no content about this. So let's learn and create and share what we found works, for us and our brands. And that's kind of exactly what we've done for the past years. And we've been able to help, thousands of fellow sellers, which has been really great. And hopefully are able to do the same here in this summit, which I'm super excited for.
All right, cool. Thank you, Sumner. And Noah, short introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me again, guys. So my name is Noah Wickam. I work for My Amazon Guy. We are essentially the largest single person owned Amazon agency. We do full service. I myself have been selling on Amazon and e-commerce for over a decade now, starting anywhere from, reselling on eBay, which I feel like a lot of people did back in the day, all the way to having my own brands, working with tons of other brands as well. And yeah, I'm just excited to be able to share more value. I post a lot of content on our channel as well. I know Sumner does, but so we also make a ton of content, and I'm excited to be able to share kind of some of the biggest things that I see people just missing all the time on listings. So.
Well, thank you very much, Noah. And before Noah will start with analyzing the product listing, Noah and Sumner will work on the same product listing, so they will give some tips you can learn. I see there are a lot of people watching live, and I wanted to remind that if you have any questions during the session, type them in the live chat. If you're watching replay, keep the questions coming to the comment section below, and we will ask our guests to reply them later. And also, of course, don't forget to click like and subscribe for our video. And I think we are ready to start with Noah's tips for the listing, which those two experts have chosen. And I'm sharing Noah's screen already. So let's do it.
Absolutely. Let's hop in. So this is the listing that we kind of talked about and chose to just kind of work through and figure out, what can we be doing better here that we aren't already. So we're going to focus on a few key areas. I myself am going to focus primarily on the ICAP funnel, which, if you don't know what ICAP is impressions, clicks, ad cart purchases. There are essentially a lot of different reasons as to why you should have this be a primary focus when you are looking at doing listing optimization. The main reason behind it is that you want to hit every aspect of the ICAP funnel on your product detail page. So without further ado, let's hop in here. So starting off, one of the biggest things in ICAP is always going to be your impressions. Your impressions comes directly just from being able to rank on keywords. So a big aspect when we're looking at any listing and understanding what is ranking. So your title density, that actually will be ranking. So everything here is a keyword that can rank. Everything here inside your bullet points is something that can rank as well. If you have a description, that is rankable. And then any crawlable text in your A+ content. One of the biggest things that you need to understand when it comes to ranking is how many keywords you can actually be ranking for in any given time. For a newer listing, I would love to see typically a 1-to-1 ratio of paid to organic keyword ranking. But a lot of times people are going to usually have more of a 100-to-1. So that being said, when we're looking at that, we then want to focus on our clicks. Clicks, when it comes to Amazon, all come down to your actual image, your main image, and then your first 5 keywords. So for this one of the biggest things that we usually see is people just putting the product on a white background and not doing anything with it. We have what ends up being a lot of dead space here. You can see a bunch of dead space up in the top right here. You can see a bunch of dead space on the product itself. And this doesn't exactly tell us what the product is. So what we tend to do in this scenario is what we call a main image CTR. This is where we would add either a tag, a box of some kind, or just even some text on the actual product that can give us some ideas of what this is. So since this is a chicken shredder tool, we would add a simple tag. You can see a perfect little spot where I would put a tag up here to actually add the keywords chicken shredder tool. This gives a very, very good instance and can instantly boost your click-through rate on your product, simply because people now understand what the product is at a very, very quick glance. Now, the biggest aspect that comes down to when you're actually doing that is also making sure that it's legible for both desktop and mobile. A big, big problem I see, especially you can see it on these images already, very, very tiny text. One of the biggest things that people mistake when they're optimizing their listing is trying to add in keywords and text into their images, but they make it so small that you can hardly read it. Even on desktop, I'm having to zoom in here. Something you need to understand is 60 to 70% of all sales happen from mobile on Amazon. So that means you need to think about every single one of your product images from a mobile first standpoint. You want to optimize with the idea that someone is actually going to be looking at the product on a much, much smaller screen than anything you're probably creating the images on. Again, you can see here, this user-friendly design for effortless, enjoyable shredding and meal preparation. On a mobile version, you're not going to be able to see this. Even on desktop, it usually is better just to do this zoom in feature to be able to see anything. So when it comes to your imagery, that is how you're going to get your clicks on your main image. You need to be able to have that text telling people what the product is on that main image. You need to do it in a way that both matches Amazon's terms of service and not just plain text across the board, while simultaneously making sure all of your text across all of your images is very much crafted for the aspect of mobile. So once you actually have, a good click-through rate, once you're getting impressions from a both organic and paid perspective, you need to understand a few things when it comes to your title. You need to understand a few things when it comes to the product detail page. So start with the title here. We're looking at Crafty Chicken Shredder Tool 3-in-1. Now, this is our primary keywords. The big thing to note here is the brand Crafty. So that is the brand, but why is it that most people put brand at the front? Usually it's to try and have a form of brand identity and to understand what it means to have that. So if we head on over here, however, to Helium, where I have this product already in, you can actually see some of the keyword phrases that we are overall ranking for. You'll see Crafty, which is the brand name down here. We're actually only organic rank 11 for our own branded keyword. On top of that, the search volume for your branded keyword is only 286. That means that there isn't a lot of brand identity with this actual branded keyword. So when looking at how to format your title, instead of having your brand at the very beginning here, where, again, only 230 people know what it is, you should instead move it to the end and do by Crafty. This allows us to have our actual first 5 keywords be the actual product and be our primary keywords here. This helps a lot when it comes to both the idea of click-through rate, but also the idea of add to cart, because people are more likely to click through from the first 5 keywords. And that's what they're going to see. Again, if we're looking from a mobile first standpoint, with 60 to 70% of people purchasing. So understand that typically speaking, you don't want to have your brand name at the very beginning unless you have some form of brand identity or people are searching for your specific brand name. So if you don't have any search volume, I would highly advise pushing that brand name to the back of your listing until your listing has more legs underneath it and you are organically ranking for more keywords. Now, past that as well, one of the biggest things I'm seeing, if we come back on over to Helium here, we have a decent organic to paid ratio, 616 organic, 255 paid. That's not necessarily bad. We're seeing, again, about a 2-to-1 ratio of organic to paid for, a product that's been out for a while. So it is technically a little bit better than what you would expect. But at the same time, I think we are lacking on the organic side. A very easy way to make sure that you can end up having more organic keywords, even though we have huge bullet points with tons of keywords in here, is a very, very quick miss. The quickest miss being our actual A+ content. A lot of people don't realize that the text that is on A+ content, if you're able to highlight it, is actually crawlable and rankable text. So in this A+ content, you can see that we don't have any crawlable or rankable text. The only thing we have is down here at the bottom where it's our red chicken shredder, blue chicken shredder, and black chicken shredder. That is the only text in this A+ content. As you can see, can't click on anything else. It just grabs the pictures. And so what we would want to do with this A+ content is essentially change it so that some of these fun facts, so you can see here, we have the actual facts where it says ergonomic grip, it says anti-slip mat. We want to add that and add different text down below it in a different format of A+. This allows us to essentially add more keywords. So again, we can start to increase this overall organic amount of ranking keywords. The more organic we can get, the better. Because as you can see, things such as round chicken shredder were organic ranked 5, sponsored ranked 63. So realistically, we're not actually spending enough to, increase the overall ranking, but we already have it fairly ranking from an organic perspective. A lot of our keywords here that we're looking at, the more that we look, we can see, again, we're ranked 29 for plastic chicken grinder. Things like that are the areas in which we want to really focus on when it comes to this A+ content and increasing what we can have from an overall ranked and indexed keyword perspective. Now, the other aspect that a lot of people don't know about A+ content that's actually crawlable and rankable is alt text. So I have a little Chrome extension here that lets me pull up the alt text of all images. You can quickly see here we have alt text for chicken shredder top image. Then we have alt text crafty shredder infographics. Again, alt text how to use crafty chicken shredder. So not really actual alt text, right? It is alt text in the sense of if it's telling us exactly what it is. It's essentially what you would name the image if you were going to save it on your desktop, right? What we actually want here is we want to have something closer to this ideal gift for your loved ones, right? We want to have more text in this alt text that allows us to actually rank and index for more keywords. So what's that going to actually help us with? Well, it's going to help us with our I version of the ICAP, the impressions. We're going to be able to have more impressions, and we're going to be able to get from that standpoint, once we update our main image and our title with that first 5 keywords, more clicks. With the actual A+ content itself and the images, if we go back up here, and the actual images, updating these is going to help us with our add to cart rate. Now, finally, when it comes to purchases, the number one purchase factor of anything is just your pricing. There's not much to say about that. It just comes down to, are you competitively priced within the actual category, which for this product, it's fairly competitively priced. It's a little bit higher than a lot of competitors, but at the same time, as long as you are following the first 3 parts of the ICAP funnel, you should be good when it comes to actually getting that purchase. So with that being said, these are kind of some of the major issues I typically see most people have when it comes down to actually optimizing the listing, along with not changing out the keywords you're doing often enough. A lot of times when you actually have a lot of these keywords in here, you're not usually updating them as frequently as you should be, especially when you're going through each of your different forms of SEO when it comes to everything from competitor SEO all the way down to just long tail keywords. So if you're going to start anywhere, start with your ICAP. It helps you immensely to understand what actually drives impressions, then what actually drives the clicks, and what actually drives the add to carts. Once you understand those three and can optimize based on those three, your purchases will be a lot easier to gain. So that's all I have for my part. And now I believe Sumner has some more stuff to show us.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Actually, I see there is a related question by Sunny Girl. Can you show what you mean by crawlable and rankable text on A+?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me try and find just a quick product here. I bet this one has something here. So if we scroll down to A+, so this is a brand story, which I would also heavily advise. You can see here, this text is able to be copied. So I can go and copy this. This is considered crawlable, rankable, but this little image of stigma tattoo supplies is not. So anything that you can actually, and looks like there's more. So yeah, right here, anything you can actually go like this on, that is considered crawlable, rankable. On their A+, it seems like, again, they don't have anything. It's good they have some on the brand story, and I would heavily advise people always add to the brand story as well, and add that to help along with the add to cart rate. But yeah, that's essentially what I mean when talking about crawlable and rankable text.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. I see a few more questions are coming, but let's move with Sumner's analysis, and then we will take all the questions afterwards. So Sumner, I'm sharing the screen. Cool. Now we see your screen.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. So you can see the same listing just to make sure.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah.
Looks the same.
So this is a real listing that was sent to us by actually one of the members of our Facebook group. So as I'm thinking about this, I know there's someone on the other end, either watching it right now or in the very near future. So I try to be, easy, but you want to get results. So we'll go ahead and dive in and agree with everything that Noah said, like completely. The ICAP formula is brilliant. That comes out of my Amazon guy. And we really love that framework as well. And kind of looking more than starting kind of top down with the title. So first things first, little random call out, crafty. I wonder from a trademarking perspective, if that's a bit too similar sounding to craft. I do know of another seller who had a product and their brand name was Gapped Travel. It was a travel product, and Gap, the clothing company, or their legal team, of course, use automated bots, whatever, to find the listing, send them out a cease and desist, like, hey, you need to change your name. So it's a little random side note. Be careful when choosing your brand name. It can't, look or sound like any existing marks, especially in the kitchen space. So there's something to kind of consider. Aside from that, going in a bit more, and exactly what Noah said, that kind of first section of your title. So your title is already super important when it comes to keyword ranking, but particularly that first portion, those first kind of 5 words. So that's a great idea to kind of put craft or your brand name toward the end, like, buy, and then your brand name at the very end. Something to consider. So this is kind of going, there's a bit of a debate right in the Amazon community when it comes to like conversions versus impressions. So it's something to consider, but something we've actually done very similar with one of the products that we recently launched is if this 3-in-1 is a strong differentiator for your product, to maybe put that right in the beginning. If a lot of your competitors don't have that, if that is really unique. Now, if all your competitors are 3-in-1 as well, it's not as important. But that's something unique. For example, if we have like a 5-in-1 product where everyone else just has like a blank, basic generic product, but ours has 5 pieces, 5 unique components, that's really special, like for the product that we sell. So we put that right in the beginning. And after doing that, we actually saw a bump in conversion. So something to kind of consider. But of course, what's most important, and kind of taking a step back before we go through the entire thing, is of course knowing your audience, and knowing your audience maybe even better than they do. And 2 big ways to do that. This is kind of like, I see a lot of symptoms of, listings that aren't fully optimized, or not even like halfway well optimized in certain cases when it comes to images and copy and keyword optimization. And I found that the majority of those reasons are caused by, number one, not understanding your target audience. And that comes from not really analyzing your competitor reviews as well as keyword data. Because how I approach keywords is, this is the same thing. Before I was in Amazon, I was working with Google and social media and other things. But when someone types a keyword into a search engine, whether that's YouTube or that's Amazon, they have a desire that they want fulfilled. So they take that desire in their being and they put it and transmute it into a keyword on a search engine. And when I think about it that way, it makes a lot more sense. I look at keywords differently. So then you can kind of analyze, and of course, this helps with product development, but then it helps what is important to your customer. So for example, like the words like round, chicken shredder, 3-in-1, or, BPA free, things like that. We know those things that are important, not just directly, but also indirectly, like, oh, BPA free. They're really worried about microplastics or toxins getting into okay. So when I make my images, and especially if that keyword has higher volume than another, or I see multiple keywords and I take the average search volume of all of those kind of related keywords and I group those together, another set of related keywords and group those together, it helps me in knowing what is most important to my audience, because then it helps me optimize the whole listing. That's kind of like the first step, if that makes sense. And then the second part with that is also review analysis. If people, I don't know the exact podcast, but it was amazing. It was like years ago I listened to this. It was Tim Ferriss, author of the 4-Hour Workweek, who also made, I believe there's a few cookbooks, or at least one, called The 4-Hour Chef. And he was talking about his development for this product and what he did. And this is somewhat known in the Amazon space, like this kind of methodology, but it's so important. Is what he did is went to his the top selling cookbooks on Amazon and basically read through, or hired a VA to read through the 1 through 4-star reviews and found, what do people like? Like, I like this product, but XYZ, that's a 4-star review, right? Because someone really liked it, but there's something off. As well as the 1-star, 2 stars, like, this was absolute garbage. It did not exceed my expectations. Like, I bought it thinking it was this, but it was something else. And that is gold. It's free information. It's free data, and it's so valuable. And what he did, just for perspective, is, again, this kind of goes with product development, but the whole, like, when you're developing your product, you should also be writing your listing and making your images kind of even beforehand, because it all happens at one time. It's not kind of like, let me just like come up with a product and then think of the listing after the fact. It should all be baked in, again, based on what the audience wants and desires. And when they're 5-star reviews, this is what they love. The further down in the reviews you go, that's what they hate, they dislike, that brings them pain. And combining keywords with reviews, it's, you have a very, very clear understanding of your audience. Pair that with survey data, very, very clear picture. But that's kind of like the really, really important first step, because then that's where you're going to, be able to really optimize everything. So assuming that's the first step that you've done, then we kind of move through the rest. Oh, and by the way, just in case I go over, which I've done many times in the past, I do have this free Amazon listing checklist. I literally just made this. So like, I don't even offer this to my students. Well, yeah, I think I will, to my students. Only students and you will get access to this. It's pretty self-explanatory unless you're like brand new to selling on Amazon, but it's literally a checklist that'll help you, because a lot of times, like, oh, there's so many things moving around when it comes to images, when it comes to copy, text, keyword optimization, that this is a way that you can be 100% sure that your listing is fully optimized. You can literally go through, okay, check. So we have the pre-optimization, images, video, title, search terms, bullet points, description, A+ content, brand story, reviews, and additional. And we'll also update this in the future with additional things that we come across, but really, really comprehensive. And it's a lot. Probably don't have time to cover it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So I just want to call that out. And we'll make sure, like I said, that we'll figure out how to properly kind of link that. But you'll have access to that as well in case I can't cover that fully. But going back to the listing, starting with the title, that's kind of a couple points. With that as well, I see clearly that there's a few variations here, color variations. And as I'm clicking on the different variations, I see that the only change is the color here in the end. So like red, blue, and black. And I think that's kind of a missed opportunity. What we do, so we love variations. They're amazing for multiple reasons. Of course, when you're launching a new variation product and you're sharing those reviews, that can kind of help aid in the launch process without having to start from scratch. But also from a keyword standpoint, we like to see, a good amount of overlap, because of course these are variations of the same, product, just different colors. But to have a good amount of variance in the titles that help us rank the entire listing for different kind of keywords. And specifically, the first place that we look, so let's say we fully optimize, our main kind of product, let's say it's the black product, fully optimized title, great. Then what I would do kind of for these other two variations, the blue and the red, is this is kind of a first step. It's not the only thing that we look at, but it's kind of a quick win. Is we use a tool like Helium 10 Magnet, because I know Helium 10's, it's kind of one of the biggest tools for sellers. So it's kind of cool to know that you were sharing as well. But yeah, so we're here in Helium 10 Magnet, which is great for both kind of keyword research for like a Amazon PPC is what we use it for, but then also for some of these opportunities. And what we do is we'll type in kind of our main keyword. Like if you're to describe what you sell to your friend or family member, that's your product. Like, oh, I sell a chicken shredder. Boom. You said that's what your product is. So you type in that keyword or that phrase into Helium 10 Magnet, click on Find Suggestions. And specifically, this is the criteria that I like to use. So minimum search volume of 500. I just want to see, somewhat decent search volume keywords. And of course, the higher, the better. But also you have to keep into account relevancy, because higher search volume with low relevancy versus lower search volume with very, very high relevancy, they can be similar opportunities. So search volume 500 minimum, word count of 2, title density, maximum of 10. And I like to play around with this. First, I start with like maximum of like 3 or 4 and work my way up until I find some opportunities, which I'll show you. And then also phrases containing just 1 or maybe 2 words like chicken or shredder, to where all of the keywords that Helium 10 shows have to contain that word in them. So we have this kind of all set, and I went ahead and preloaded it because sometimes, especially when it comes to demos, it can take a while. So I just want to make sure everything's up here, but you can do this yourself. And then what's cool as well with Helium 10 specifically is they have what's called a Magnet IQ score, which is cool. It's better in theory than reality, but it still is helpful because a lot of times this will show branded terms, but it basically will show like high demand, low competition keywords. So you can filter by this, filter by search volume. And the key here, the reason we're doing this is, so we have basically the exact same title across, but I want to find opportunities where there are keywords with decent to good search volume and not a lot of direct competition for those exact phrases. Assuming it's relevant, I might take 1 or 2 of those phrases that I find from this list and then put 1 to 2 here in the blue variation. I'll put 1 to 2 of those in the red and kind of not even completely gut and change the title, but sort of slightly tweak it with some additional words, changing some orders here and there based on the data we find from Magnet to help the entire listing better rank for all of these kind of different keywords. So of course you can kind of scroll through. I won't take too much time. Of course, some of these are irrelevant, like whole chicken, frozen chicken. Those are obviously searches for actual like edible products. But like chicken shredded tool twister, go down, chicken shredder twist, chicken coop accessories, that is not relevant at all. Chicken shredded chicken tool, etc. And you basically would just take a second to scroll through this and just make a hit list of all keywords, phrases that are relevant. And then again, try to fit like 1 or 2 and work them into those additional kind of titles, and then track your ranking after doing this, make the changes and then track your ranking. And of course, make sure you're also targeting those Amazon ads, assuming it's relevant, and then watch your ranking after this for those keywords specifically. And the reason that I hone in on title density, it's kind of one of the areas I like to look at title density. And we also like to look at our Amazon PPC data and find high converting keywords and make sure that like our titles contain those high converting phrases as well. So it's kind of like a couple areas that we look for in general. We could go more analytical and in depth, but 2 kind of good general places to start. Because with title density, these are easy wins. Like if there's like less than 4 listings on Amazon that have this exact phrase in the title, that's a really easy opportunity to potentially win, assuming we have a relevant product. So it's kind of like some easy wins you can do with very small kind of tweaks and changes just to the title. Of course, looking at reviews we know are important, 4.4. This does depend on the review rating of the category. But of course, I would try to, look into why it's 4.4 and not 4.5, 6, 7, 8, and read my own reviews and understand why. When you're launching a new product, enrolling in Vine review, that's big. Every week, we also like to use the request review feature in our, the orders tab in Seller Central. We have our VA do it. So I haven't done this in like the longest time, but request a review manually, like using the Amazon kind of a feature in there. Vine review. And then of course, the biggest way to get reviews and 5-star reviews is surprising and delighting your customers. So the biggest, actually, I'll say this is the biggest lack I see on Amazon is lack of creativity. It's people following the same stuff, doing the same thing, corporate language, like bland copywriting, bland images, and nothing really human and creative. Like imagine, for example, moving to the bullet points, if you had a bullet point, if this makes sense for your brand, of course, but that made someone actually laugh, like tell a joke. And it's like, well, why? It's like, imagine standing out and making a human connection where it's like, you know, enhanced stability, crafted chicken shredders, advanced meat shredder, da 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 da. Not bad, but typical. And I'm looking for ways to be atypical, especially on Amazon where there's so much homogeneity. I'm like, how can I just be above and beyond in so many ways? Like superior product, just cool, slick, better images, better copy. And even things like, for example, there was a product that it required kind of like setup, like it came with instructions, required setup. And one of their kind of differentiators is like, we're super easy to set up. Like we've designed it in such a way that our product setup time is like a third of the time, a fraction of the time as our competitors. So it's like our product does not require an engineering degree to set up, blah, 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 blah. Like little things, not like a great joke, but like little things like that people know is like, oh my gosh, there's a human being on the other side of this. And that small connection will have, I think, profound, especially small additional kind of connections have a profound impact. But again, with reviews, finding ways with your packaging, this can be done also with digital products if it makes sense for the product, and other things to add value and unexpected value from when someone purchases. Because if someone gets what they paid for, they're not really going to leave a review. They're like, yeah, but like I wanted this, I got it. Great. If someone gets more than they paid for, it's like, this is awesome. This is amazing. I'm going to tell all my friends and family. I'm totally going to write a review. So, and the key is like, how do I do that, Sumner? Well, it definitely depends on your product. There's so many creative ways. Best way, go to ChatGPT and say exactly that. Hey, I'm looking for creative ways to add value without increasing the product cost. What can I do? And go from there. And you'll find a lot of great opportunities. Another point to call out that was really great that this listing did is have a video that's fantastic. So we always make sure when we're, launching a new product, when we just have a product to sell on Amazon, we want to have a video in the listing itself, as well as running sponsored brand video ads. In general, by the way, just random note, I'm sure people who are more in the PPC space, like just live, eat, and breathe it, will say the same thing. We see video ads just killing on a PPC standpoint. And sometimes it's almost the exact same video. It's slightly tweaked, one more optimized for ads versus kind of the listing. But we have both right out the gate. And that's great that I see the video here. Again, getting here to the bullet points. I actually wrote a couple of notes. Let me just read through this again. So again, going back to, this is the same for images and bullets, is knowing what is most important to your target audience. And also not just knowing what's most important, but knowing what's most important and ranking them. Like, I know this is the first thing that's most important, second and third. Sort of like, if you think about when someone purchases, before someone like gives you money, like they literally like took their flesh and blood to make this money, right? If you work a 9-to-5 job, like you gave up time to make this money and you're never going to get that time back, but you can make more money. So you have they traded this renewable resource, this infinite resource of money, for a non-renewable resource. It is so unbelievably precious that to get someone's money, to get someone to actually give it to you, there's a series of dominoes that have to knock down before that happens. And of course, you can't accomplish all of that with Amazon. However, Amazon's done so much testing. It's actually funny seeing other platforms like Udemy or Fiverr or other unrelated platforms that mimic Amazon, because Amazon structured this in a very particular way, of course, for conversions. Because if all products convert better, Amazon converts better. So it's kind of it's actually a great kind of symbiotic relationship. But anyway, they've set it up in a way, of course, to promote purchases and to maximize profit in purchases. So when you're kind of going through the bullet points, you should think, what is the most important, like what is the biggest question that my customer has that needs answered, needs solved before they're ready to give up their hard-earned money to buy this product? Like what are their hesitations? Like what's on their mind? And if you're like, I don't really know, it's like, boom, that's when you need to do like audience research. And when you come back, again, it won't be perfect, but at least having a really good framework, it's like, okay, based on the keywords, the reviews, our survey data, like this is what we've got. It's okay. And then rank those starting with what's most important. That's first, second, and third, and fourth and fifth. And you go down the list from there. So again, I'm making assumptions here that that's exactly what you did, that the quality of the product is most important, that time savings is really important. Of course, because, and also another point is when someone's buying on Amazon, there's like other than buying your product, they have two options. They could either buy somebody else's product, like a similar product, or they could do nothing. They could buy no product. So you're kind of competing with those two things of other competitors and using, especially in the bullet points and the images, of course, how you are better and different for your target audience than other competitors. So in our bullet points, we like to use words while other chicken shredders XYZ, our, crafty chicken shredders, da, 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 da. Or unlike other chicken shredders, our chicken shredders, blah, 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 blah. So while other and unlike other are a couple phrases we like to use to set us apart, thinking specifically about Amazon. This might be different for some other platforms, but specifically with Amazon, that's one option. And also at the same time of them doing nothing. However, if they're already on Amazon, especially with these, more kind of impulse buy range products, I don't find that as much of a, the higher the price increases, then that side of people not purchasing at all increases. But anyway, to enhance stability, time saver, safe and comfortable, cool kitchen gadgets. This here, cool kitchen gadgets. That doesn't really add anything to me. Like this is hey, this is a cool kitchen gadget. Now I understand you might be doing that for like a keyword optimization. But I would, especially if it's, all caps, which technically is against Amazon's terms of service. So technically you have to change that. I actually use all caps, but I can't recommend anything that's against TOS. But you're telling the person this is a cool kitchen gadget. It's like, yeah, I know, I can tell. Like, so in my view, this is kind of a wasted space. Oh, and something else. I'm very visual. So I always default to images. However, I always have to remind myself there's two big types of people. There's more visual and there's more text. There's a percentage of shoppers that prefer reading text over images. So people like me, and I bet there's a lot of people watching, especially if you're on YouTube watching this, there's a reason you're watching this and you're not reading a blog article because you like visual, and I do too. But the text is also very important. Of course, as Noah said, which is super, super important. And it's great, the length here, being able to include a lot of those valuable keywords and key phrases in here. That's amazing. And that's really important. But it's that balance, especially when it comes to bullet points between conversions and impressions. So kind of like, imagine just keyword stuffing to kind of maximize impressions, which still wouldn't work, but let's just say that. And the other end, just making it sound really, really beautiful and high converting, but having zero like keywords in there. It's kind of finding that sweet spot somewhere in between. And that's where this kind of becomes an art form. But here, cool kitchen gadgets. It's an excellent addition to your kitchen gadgets. Like how so it's suitable for wedding, registry gifts, fitness conscious barbecue lovers. That's cool. Okay, I get registry gifts, fitness. I see the keywords in there. I can tell. But it's kind of like a way. So there's a way to reword this to really focus on what's important to your customer. Satisfaction guarantee, that's solid. I think there's one other thing. Let me see. Safe and comfortable. Shred me without worrying about burning your hands or risk economic. Safe and comfortable. No, I think that was it here. But again, it goes back to your research initially. That's what's going to help guide this. Another little hack, because Q4 is here. I was going to say it's upon us, but like it's here. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they're coming. Something we do. This is for our top. So this is for our the 80-20, the top 20% of products that generate 80% of revenue. We look at those products, especially those that sell best during Q4, which in our niche, that's our top season. And our products are giftable. So we make sure that we have, we change up we literally every year change up our images. And I mean, we can do this 1 year as long as we don't update our images and reuse for years to come. We update our images to have like little Christmas lights, maybe like a wreath, like, in a strategic way, kind of around the border to show, again, it's another way of like someone, let's say, is buying a product specifically as a Christmas gift. If you have like just a Christmas themed listing and nobody else does, again, that's going to like, you have now leveled up your percent. It's kind of like going to an interview and there's a guy who's wearing like a white dress shirt with a tie. It's like, oh, that's nice. And then you come in with a white dress or an even nicer dress shirt with a tie and a suit on. It's like, oh, like you level up, maybe not a ton, but a little bit. Like you get that little edge. And it's about getting those incremental edges, getting the big stuff, which is important, but also the small things and adding up has a really big impact. And that's something I really think about. Like, how can I be different? Like, how can someone land on my list and be like, this is just like, I can't even quantify it. Like, it doesn't have the same reviews or whatever, but something is just different about this. It speaks to me. It sounds like a human being. I laughed when I saw this. Like, they care about this, things like that. So little things like that. And a little hack is make these Christmas themed, like little, Christmas lights around the borders, not compromising or making it unclear. Of course, there's right and wrong ways to do it. Cause I see that there's this here. But I also wonder like how giftable is this product? That's another question that's in my head that I'm kind of like thinking through as I see this. And if packaging is a big kind of differentiator for you, like this is just coming in like a plastic bag or like a typical cardboard box, but it comes with like a nicer packaged thing. On top of that, imagine if there's like a red ribbon that came around this, which is not that hard to do. A lot of our products come with red ribbons around them because they're very giftable. But if that's really key, I just see this in one image and I forget about the A+ content. It's not very focused and I don't really see it here. Like, for example, cool kitchen gadgets, if it's more gift ready, like it comes in gift ready packaging, that could be a kind of a point, assuming that that's important to your customer. Again, Noah and I go through this. We didn't spend like hours and hours and hours like doing the deep dive, like back end, because that would cost hundreds or thousands of dollars for us to go in and actually do this custom for someone, all that back end research. We can just kind of see the surface and give you kind of tips and all of that. But yeah, so it depends, again, going back to your research, if that's important. Okay, and we'll move through here. Oh yeah, product description. Another kind of point is that a lot of sellers, so they're like, hey, I got A+ content. Awesome, fantastic. 100% recommend, definitely add it. You'll definitely see your conversions go up across the board. But what a lot of sellers do is they'll remove the kind of, because if you don't have A+ content and you're like, wait, what is, maybe you're a newer seller, like, what is this? Like, I don't see this. Like, I only have text and it's ugly. Then you have that kind of traditional like product description section, pre kind of A+ content. And that section of text that usually appears right here, that gets replaced with A+ content, but it still is there and it gets indexed by Google. So what I like to do, I actually go a little bit deeper. I use a Google keyword tool. I try to find some of those like, kind of like those keyword opportunities on Amazon, try to find those on Google and optimize my product description. I have ChatGPT write it with keywords with relatively like high search volume, low a number of SERPs on Google, and include those keywords in my product description and still have it, even though it's invisible, that it still can get crawled and everything by Google. Also with A+ content. Overall, it's slick. From an image standpoint specifically, really important. It's not bad necessarily, just a call out for A+ content. That first header is, think about like someone started up here. So a human being clicked on this on mobile, on desktop. They came here. They scrolled through. They're looking at the images here. They're looking at this. And this was not enough for them to hit this add to cart button. Otherwise, they would have. So instead of hitting add to cart and instead of going somewhere else, they scrolled down. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, think about the buyer. Why would they scroll down? And maybe they want to see reviews. They're just like, I'm not convinced enough. I need more convincing. Like, they're not like, I hate this product. I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. They're like, I need some more. Right. So it's something to keep in mind, that you want to be kind of complementary, repeat certain important points, but be complementary to what you already have at the top. And definitely, because someone's scrolling, to have a very eye attention image. So really think about like capturing the eye. With that first kind of point here, really standing out creatively. That's really, really important, which overall is just good. There's always ways to improve, but is it worth it? I don't know. Just kind of a call out here for this specifically. White rounded rectangle behind this black text to make it pop more. Exactly what Noah said. Make sure it's readable. Another point is, again, knowing your audience. What age is your audience? The higher your audience increases in age, the worse their eyesight's going to be, which means what you see is not what your audience sees. So this is especially true if you have like an audience that is, different from you. It's really important to make sure that's even bigger than it is, because it might be, that's obnoxiously big. You can see someone who's a bit older, let's say, going through and like, oh my gosh, I couldn't read any of the other text. It got me fed up on this other listing, but I came to this one and I could read it and I could understand it. So I bought it. And it wasn't even about the reviews, and it was a similar price, but it was like, I just got it. I could read it. And then, little kind of side note. And then down here, at the end of the A+ content, I don't know if that's it's not, is it? I like to have a product comparison where I have my other products. If you do have other kind of complementary products aside from just the chicken skewer, the chicken shredder, and have them here that's clickable to where it basically showcases your other products. Again, someone's scrolling through. Maybe they're not as interested in this product, but they're actually interested in your other products. And I like to kind of have that at the end. And moving down further, this is great section here. So videos for this product. So this is Geomatrix, I think uploaded this. This is great. This is a little hack that we do. And it's even easier now with Amazon Creator Connections, is you can find influencers, like cold outreach to influencers, on Instagram, on TikTok, on these different places, YouTube. You can also use Amazon Creator Connections to actually get product samples into creators' hands and have them create videos, both that exist on Amazon, or they can create off of Amazon. You can sign off the rights to that content and have either them or yourself or a team member upload them into the related video section, because you can actually upload videos here. And again, that can give you a little bit of a boost in rankings, and it can appear in some different places. So it's kind of a little hack as well, is having those additional videos. But you don't need to go, I need to spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars on more videos. It's like you give someone a free product, like a $25 product, and get a video made for it and do that 7 times and add them here. And that's kind of a little hack to increase conversions as well, because people see, especially video is so powerful, like being able to see it in action, seeing raw testimonials, reviews of people using it, enjoying it. Oh, sorry. I can go so much deeper, but I'll kind of end with this, at least for now, before the Q&A, is one really key hack. I don't see that a lot in the images. Number one is so I know this from YouTube, okay? Because I spend a ton of time on YouTube. I spend like an hour, 2 hours per thumbnail, like thinking through and strategizing. It's really, really key and eye-stopping when you have a human face looking at you in an image, and particularly think about your aspirational audience, your target audience, your buyers. What do they aspire to be? Like, what type of person? Like, of course, if you have a fitness product, right? Maybe the person buying the fitness product isn't in the shape that they want to be, but they want to become in shape. So you don't necessarily have a image of someone who's, let's say, is super skinny, super, a little bit bigger, whatever it is. I don't care, but you have someone aspirational, like a man or woman, just super shredded, like looking at the camera, smiling, using the product. So your aspirational audience looking at the camera, smiling, using your product. That'll increase conversions because people want to see it in use and envision, because when they can see someone else using it, they can envision themselves using it. And it's just like, if you think about any perfume cologne ad that are just outrageous and seem so ridiculous, but they work, right? Because they're all these hot models spraying themselves. They're like, basically there's this implied promise that if you use this product, you'll become like them. And it's the same thing here, and use that same kind of cologne, perfume strategy. Of course, not to the same degree. And of course, you can be unethical with it. And I'm not advocating for that. But having that in your images, because I see a lack of human and a lack of kind of lifestyle. It's a lot of like fake background, but also like having someone, smiling, holding, using it. And then you can have some call out text showing a specific aspect of it. Maybe it's the gift ready aspect of it, or maybe it's showing them like the multiple pieces, them holding it. So it's kind of one random also note about images. But yeah. All that being said, if you do the things that Noah and I just listed, immediately go look at your total impressions, go look at your unit session percentage rate, and you will likely, because it can't guarantee anything, but you will very likely see an increase in impressions and conversions from this.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sumner. So many details, so many ideas. You're obviously talking from experience. I hope all these tips work on your listings very well. And now we will move on to the Q&A, and before we do that, I wanted to mention that this event is part of, or this session is part of the Seller Fest Virtual Summit, where we invited more than 20 Amazon experts, and together with all of them, we created a VAP package. All of them sent us an additional video where you can watch in a private area, in the members area. These videos are not available online. These are additional content, additional strategies. Sumner is at the top of the list, and Noah is the second at the list. So cool. We have additional 20 or 23 or 4 videos, which you can get access if you follow the link below in the description, and you will get access to this VAP package. So yeah, do this now. And I wanted to ask also Sumner and Noah, what did you share in the VAP package?
Yeah, no, I'll let you talk because I've been talking for quite a while.
Yeah.
I think I shared an advertising strategy on mine, is specifically essentially going over a pretty easy one, but one that I swear every single client that comes in doesn't have it. It's essentially just auto catch-all campaigns, which are just so underutilized for some reason, when they're the easiest campaign that anyone can literally set up in like 30 seconds. And so I kind of walked through that, as well as the purpose behind them, how to, essentially set them up, etc. So yeah, I think it's one of the things that it should be valuable to most people, but it's super, super overlooked for some reason.
And Sumner, what was your session about?
Yeah, also Amazon PPC related. Specifically, it's the biggest question that I've been receiving like recently about Amazon ads, and that's launching and advertising with variations, and kind of the proper way to do that. So yeah, it kind of like really helps, because I get one of the questions I get all the time is like, and I'm not going to reveal too much here. You have to buy it. Oh, by the way, $77. Like, I thought this was 200, by the way, Augustus. I don't know why. $77. Think about just how many few additional sales you would need to make for the information to make this worth your time, or even to 10x it, like to make an additional $770 in net profit. I can tell you from my strategy alone, if you're already advertising with variations, of course, depending on your scale, but you can very likely, make that back in a very short period of time with just one of the kind of the tips here. And I'm not paid to say that, by the way. I just wanted to kind of like share that because I saw the $77 and I'm like, man, that's like, we just launched a course for like, I don't know, it's the launch price is $1,500. I'm like, this is 77. Like this is a no brainer. So, yeah, I know both Noah and I, at the very least, are going to have some pretty solid value that you'll see your ROI from. And I'm sure that's the same for the rest of the speakers.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. And now let's take few questions. So let's start from the top. We have more than 10 questions. So Arun was asking at the beginning already, what's the recommended text size for header and subheaders to make it visible for mobile?
Yeah, I guess I can kind of touch on that since it was my thing. There isn't necessarily a recommended text size, right? Because that's going to depend entirely on your image and how you are laying out the image. The big thing that you need to overall think about when you are creating this, I know Sumner was touching on this a lot as well, is can the person read it or not? I mean, especially if you're looking at like a phone, right? And if you're scrolling through, if someone clicks on your image and they have to like zoom in and pinch to look through every single one of the images to actually read what is on that image and what you're trying to display on it, your text is too small. If the phone has to be 3 inches from your face to read it, it's too small. So there's no like, I would say recommended, hey, here's the text size to use. Because it entirely depends how much text do you have on the image. What are you trying to display? Is it bullet points? Is it just a one line, catchy header, things like that. So I wouldn't say there's recommended. Just again, try and put yourself in the shoes of someone who's on their phone scrolling, and if you have to be 3 inches from your face or zoom in and everything to actually read it, that's too small.
For sure. Cool. Yeah, and I would say like a solid like creatives agency, like they should know. They should be thinking that through that, but unfortunately, I would say most, just like any agency, does not. The top do. The top agencies do. So yeah, that's something to look out for. To ask them in the brief is like, hey, just want to make sure like when you have text, like you're going to do this, this, and this, and they're like, oh my gosh, how'd you become an Amazon expert? Or like, because I watched Sumner and Noah.
Arun is also asking, title and bullet points are finite amount of real estate. Do you have a recommended number of keywords that you should be optimizing title and bullet points for?
Yeah, so I guess I could do that one. No, because it totally depends, especially like, how long the phrase is. Because, we use the word keywords. It's not just words, it's, technically phrases. They can be 1 word, 2 or 3, 4, 5. So no, for us, and this is just our strategy. I know it's a bit different. Like what some sellers do is they'll look at, kind of like the top sellers in their category, look at the average character count of those kind of listings, and then mimic that for theirs. What we do generally is actually max out. We max out whatever within our category, and Amazon can be different for different categories. Whatever our category is, the maximum amount specifically for the title that we are allowed to have, we max that out almost to the end, right? It might be, it's 200 characters, so it's like 198 or whatever. But we really want to like max that out, especially to start, to get as much, ranking juice. And then for the bullet points, that's way more of like an art form. That is definitely not cut and dry, because what we do first is, this is my process or our process, is we make the bullet points, readable, not just like readable, but like sound good, really compelling, emotional, get people excited. Then we go back in and weave through keywords, and we get it to the point to where it's like just kind of buffering on like, this is starting to sound a little bit weird. Like, okay, then that's far enough. And that's like the bridge that we go. But sometimes we can be creative. For example, like that gift thing, like, if you have words like, let's say, wedding gift, anniversary gift, Father's Day gift, gift for boss, whatever, all the couples gift, all the gifts you can think of, a gift for, and then I can like add those in like at the end of one of the bullet points as kind of a little like hack if your product is like giftable. But yeah, not a set amount for bullet points, but for title, we like to max that out as close as we can.
All right, thank you. Let's take a question about alt text. Your alt text on A+ had a few keywords only. Does it not have sense to pack it with a whole list of keywords? There are 100 characters.
Yeah. So that's the exact point I was kind of making there, is that there was not enough there. Realistically, it was just way too small. It did not show enough on that listing as far as alt text goes. I would always recommend that you try and max out your alt text. Again, as Sumner was just saying, there's no point not to, right? If you can add the characters in or get it to just about max with more keywords that you can end up ranking and indexing on, you should, especially for something like alt text, which typically for 99% of people is never going to be viewable. Very few people are actually seeing alt text or anything like that. So yeah, absolutely. If you can, always try and add as much as you can to the alt text.
All right. Next question. Can you explain again when the brand name you recommend to put at the end of the title? In what cases you recommend? I think Sumner was talking about,
yeah. It's. I mean, I'll touch on it real quick.
Okay.
When I brought up, when I was saying add it to the end of the title, it entirely depends on search volume, right? So Amazon, as much as people would love to think that brands matter on Amazon, they don't matter as much as you think, especially when you're first launching. If you are a brand new brand no one has ever heard of, chances are that realistically, you're not going to have any search volume and people aren't going to know you. Until you get to the point at which you have, I would say, at least 25 or 30 organic keywords rank 1 or 2, there's no point in having your brand name at the beginning, especially if your brand name has no search volume. So, 20 to 25 organic keywords, they're rank, 1 or 2 or 3, as well as having your branded keywords actually have relevancy. So search volume of around 500 to 1,000 minimum before it makes sense to actually add it to the front. Otherwise, you're essentially wasting a space at the very beginning of your title with a keyword that nobody knows what that keyword is. So until you actually have any brand recognition, which for very new sellers, you won't, but for more advanced sellers down the line, you might have some. In that case, it makes more sense to have it at the end when you start than, at the beginning.
Cool. Thank you. Maybe it's a question for Sumner. How do you identify the target audience? Because Sumner was touching this at the beginning.
Yes. I mean, it depends on, so what we like to do is we like to try to find, and I don't want to make this this could be a whole other video. So that's why I'm trying to condense it down. So what we like to do is find holes in the market. So how we do product development, product research is we look at categories that there's just a lot of money being generated in that category, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a month as the category as a whole, from all products, kind of combined revenue in that category. And then niche down within that of okay, for example, I'll give a specific example. This is amazing. There's actually a couple. So coffee. Coffee is a drug that is illegal. So it's a great product, recurring, revenue. It's a great product in of itself, especially for the fact that it's legal. Same thing with granulated sugar. Everyone drinks coffee. There's a company called, Black Rifle Coffee Company that figured, hey, everyone drinks coffee, but there's no coffee for conservatives, right? I'm using that word. And I'm not saying I agree or disagree, whatever. It's just let's make a coffee brand for patriotic Americans. We're going to employ veterans with PTSD. We're going to give money. And I'm not saying this is exactly them. Just overall, employ veterans. We're going to give a percent of revenue or profit to these causes. We're going to have, let's say, American themed and Black Rifle Coffee. Okay. So clearly guns. So it's very niching down. So coffee, everyone drinks it. What about this? Another great example is firefighter. There's this firefighter brand I just saw on TikTok did the same thing. And it was brilliant. So it's a firefighter. Firefighters actually, I think, drink an above average amount of coffee, which I didn't realize, or they just say they do. But anyway, firefighters drink coffee. But even that, firefighters in our collective imagination think about firefighter versus police. In general, most of us have more positive interactions or thoughts toward firefighters than police. So this brand, it started by firefighter and then partnered with an e-com, came together and made firefighter mug. A percentage of their profits go toward helping families where the soul kind of or one of the what am I saying? One of the family members passed away due to a kind of dying in action, saving someone's life, and things like that. So it's kind of like that, taking a big thing, looking down is well, how do you know? It's well, look at the keywords. Again, the kind of title density and other things of really specific long tail keywords that there's only 3 or 4 products or even 0 products on Amazon that meet that specific keyword. And that can be a really great opportunity. And then from there, you build everything out. You're okay, this specific thing is okay. So yeah, hopefully that helped actually. Maybe I just added more questions, but that's a way of going about it.
Yeah, it's a huge question. And we still have more than 10 questions. So you
Okay.
guys, you still have time to answer like another 5, 15, 20 minutes. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm
So
good. Yeah. I'll try
Astrea
to keep it quick.
is asking, what if we have, if I have more than 5 bullet points, would that still be okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All
I don't think
right.
I don't think there's anyone who would say no. Yeah, the more bullet points you can have just means the more chances to rank and index for keywords. If your category is one of the ones that allows 10 bullet points, use all 10. There is no reason not to at the end of the day when you have the ability to. The thing that I would typically recommend though is always have your most important bullet points that are going to help with overall conversion and add to cart as your beginning ones, because you do have to have people do the show more to get that last 5 bullet points.
Thank you. And Arun is asking, could you give an example of finding keyword intent grouping that you mentioned? I think it was Sumner.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying not to make this a whole like other video. Like my apologies, because like I said, listing optimization and keyword, like there's a book that I recommend everybody reads. Every Amazon seller reads. It's Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. I'm not affiliated. I make no money from saying that. It's a great book, and it really condenses down like 100 years of copywriting information into very clear copy and paste formulas and templates, and explains the psychology. And in the book, something he mentions, because he also always sells his book on Amazon. And one thing he says is like, I write my bullet points before I produce the product. My bullets, my images, like my image strategy, right? The images aren't created yet. It's all done beforehand. So it's all completely linked. Yeah, keyword intent. I'm trying. So right now, the only thoughts for this I could do are my own products. So I'm trying to think of something that's not my product to give. Because of course I just don't want more competition, and I don't want people, filing fake like IP claims or anything. Let's see, keyword intent grouping. Yeah. So, I mean, really just comes down to, let me think. Yeah. Like I said, look at like big categories and then look at long tail keywords. So like 3, 4, 5 word long phrases, and then look specifically. It's like, okay, like, let's say this cat, like a cat print yoga mat. So it's a yoga mat for cat lovers, right? And let's say like there's relatively high search volume for that keyword. I'm just making this up. I'm not saying this is a great product. Don't go launch it, but relatively high search volume for that keyword. And there are 0 products on Amazon that have a cat print yoga mat, or maybe a couple. It's like bingo. So many times there's like thousands. It's like, okay. And of course, because you can get that cat space, and you got it also, it's 2 ways, one with keywords, one with TAM, total addressable market. Think about all of the yoga people, the yoga active people in the United States, and all of those people that have a cat. And what percentage of Americans is that? Is it a pretty big, is it millions of people? It's like, yeah, it's like, okay, great. You're making a product for millions of people. It doesn't mean they'll guaranteed love it, but that's kind of a couple things that I look at and kind of think through when I'm looking at a product. But something like that, like cat print yoga mat, not a lot of options on Amazon, could be a good opportunity if it can source it profitably. Maybe do some more digging. Like I survey like yoga people, cat people, and like, would you actually like this product, buy this product, like what kind of design, and go from there.
Well, thank you. Ariana says that she included emoji in her bullet points to make description more pleasing to the eye. Can this affect optimization? Another viewer says that it's against Amazon policy. Anyone?
Yeah, Amazon earlier this year outlawed emojis in I think all categories. They used to allow it. Finally, I think it was like in toys was like the only one that they allowed in, or like gag gifts type thing. But now they fully just say no more emojis. I still see plenty of listings that have them, but I'm sure at some point in time, when Amazon really cares to, their AI is randomly going to start sweeping listings and just take any down that have it. So personally, I just never see any value whatsoever in emojis, just from the aspect of they're not rankable. They're not indexable. Nobody searches with emojis, right? So outside of like said gag gifts, there's never been a huge use to having emojis anyways. So
maybe Amazon Rufus is searching listings through emojis. It's inquiring which listings have emojis.
Yeah,
happy emojis.
It was built on emojis. Like that's how it communicates. we cracked it. We cracked it.
All right, thank you. And I think Sumner has again more questions from his talk. Can you show a main image which has keywords or features as you mentioned, and how to comply with terms of service?
Actually, I think Noah, you might. I know.
Yeah,
At
I
my
can probably
Amazon guy, you
pull
guys have a few right off the bat because I could pull some up, and I know that I think you guys
Okay.
have.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably just pull one up real quick. So if I look at like our Age of Sage, this is, I think, a really easy way to go about it. So for instance, we use box in this older one that we have. That's a really good, easy way to do it. We also have an entire page on this. I'll just pull that up. That might be easier. Let's see. Here we go. So I'll just pull up our page here. So if you look on our page, so we actually just do myamazonguy.com/CTR if anyone is curious, but we have a bunch of examples of this, of, essentially the before, the after. Same thing here with, you can see the cookie and baking sheets, the before, after. So we have a bunch of examples when it comes to CTR, what it actually looks like. So feel free to check out any of that. But yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, we have a few pages on this. We have tons of different examples of it, before, after, again, smudge sticks. All of this technically is within the realm of Amazon terms of service. You just have to be very specific with how you do it. So Happy Me Journal is a great example of what we did with, changing out the entire actual, banner that they had on it, adding a sticker showing the internal of the book as well. So really cool stuff overall. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to a main image CTR. It's a very easy way to start showing keywords, to start showing, the target audience, as, Sumner talked about, that age 6 to 12. Cool. Now, you can see that without even having to say anything in the title, in the image itself, people automatically know what this product is for. So that's kind of what we're looking at for this.
Great. Thank you. Sunny Girl is asking, Sumner, when you say track your ranking after title change, where do you track your ranking?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple options. You can do so manually, or you can use a tool. So I use Helium 10 Rank Tracker. It's kind of all in one tool. And what we do is any keyword that basically any that we're targeting with Amazon ads. And if we're targeting with Amazon ads, it means it's important. So then therefore we also target it. And we basically just upload our most important keywords. It's usually hundreds per kind of listing, with kind of that top, 10, 20% being the most important. Upload that into Helium 10 keyword tracker. And you enter in your ACE, and you can even add in your competitors and see where you're ranking on a daily basis and trends over time. So yeah, what we do is just, we just do that right from the gate. Like as soon as we launch a new product, we want to kind of track our rankings like from day one and see, like, because we want to see, because it'll show different things like, and I would show mine, but it's literally like my own product data. So that's the only reason I'm not showing you. Otherwise, I prefer to do that. But you can see, your top, all the keywords you're ranking in the top 10, the top 50. And what we really like to see, assuming that we keep that keyword list the same, because if we add more keywords, then that the number of keywords ranking top 50 usually just increases, like naturally. But if we have the same keyword list and we see our ranking gradually increasing, that's a great sign. Or of course, we can dive in and then see specifically, okay, we took these keywords like I showed you from Helium 10 Magnet or from our Amazon PPC campaigns. We added those to those variation titles. Let's see if that changes our ranking, because we know our average ranking over the past 30 days is X. Let's see if it's higher than that. And yeah, that's basically where we do it, is within Helium 10 is personally what we use. And I know there's some other tools you can use as well.
All right, thank you. Let's take another question. Happiness is asking, I'm launching a product next week with 2 color variations. Is the parent listing ranked visible to buyers, or will it just be variation listing? So basically, how do you rank when you have 2 variations? Is there like parent is ranking like higher, or?
Is this exactly what your video is about, Sumner?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to reread it because maybe it's because I'm tired. I'm like going right over my head. If I'm understanding, if it's about advertising variations, yeah, that's exactly what the video is about. That's why I didn't want to like. I don't know if I'm allowed to like pre-give that information. But no, it's what matters like for ranking for everything is the variation listings, not the parent. Like it's the variation.
Everything has its own. I think the simplest answer is everything has its own ranking.
Yes.
So each child can have its own ranking, individualized outside of the parent. If you are launching as well, I wouldn't necessarily immediately parent 2 variations together. just because they are variations, just because you want them to kind of get their own legs and stand on their own, at least for a short while before immediately parenting.
And Sumner's video was mentioned. It was inside the VAP package, which you can get if you follow the links below in the description. And next question from Agnieszka, generic keywords. What do you recommend? How many are repetitions of the same keyword in different phrases impacting adversely the results?
You want to take it, Sumner, or you want me to?
I'll let you take it, Noah.
Okay. Generic.
Honestly, I'm getting a little bit tired. Like I felt it in my head. I'm like, I just hit me like tired. I'm like, oh shoot. I think it's the magnesium. So anyway.
It's all right. I was a little tired at the beginning. Yeah, we're on opposite ends right now. It's 10 a.m. for me, 10 p.m. for you. So yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah. So generic keywords. I mean, realistically speaking, if you have a bunch of generic keywords, it's not necessarily a problem. Duplicating efforts on keywords within listings isn't necessarily shown to have any extra impact on the overall ranking of keywords. So you can't just, if you want to rank number one on a keyword, you can't just put it into your listing 500 times and then get, one sale and hope that, that counts for increasing by 500, right? That's not how that works. So when it comes to generic ones, realistically, generic, I would be very hesitant to say you should fill with generic keywords, because the number one thing I see as an issue is people adding in keywords that lack relevancy onto their listing, right? And when you add a keyword that lacks relevancy on the listing, that becomes a major issue in of itself, just from the aspect of, guess what? Now you're just, showing up for a bunch of keywords that you're not going to actually get any sales on because they don't matter towards your product. But when we're talking about things like giftable or gift type things, if your product is giftable, that's relevancy. You can add all of those in. That's not going to be an issue whatsoever. So, repetitions of the same word, different phrases impacting adversely. No, I mean, you can, but it's not going to help you in any way.
Great. Thank you. Young Yapanki says, love you both. Great champions. So when launching a quite similar product, just different color, is it harmful to use the same top 5 keywords of my bestseller? Or, I mean, could this pull down the current rank of the bestseller?
No. Realistically, no. As long as your bestseller is still going to be ranked, right, for the keywords at the end of the day, there's not going to be any harm in it. You are going to be technically competing with yourself, quote unquote. But if you cannibalize a sale on one product to another product, that you're still getting the sale, right? So and it's very unlikely that a brand new product is going to fully cannibalize your top product.
Okay, Leszek is asking Chrome extension name, please. I think he's
alt text.
Alt text.
Just alt text viewer. If you just go to the Chrome store and just type in alt text viewer, pick any of them. There's probably hundreds. Yeah.
I want to say it's such a simple probably feature to implement, so probably many are offering this kind of. All right, rainbows and lilies. Do you add a holiday theme to the main image or just all the others? I assume the main one would get suppressed if you add holiday element.
Yeah, we do all the others, not the main image. We do the others. So when someone's in their listing, then they do. But let me think. Yeah.
Ooh, so far,
it's just been the other image.
No, you can't add. So during Q4, Amazon allows you via their terms service to add things such as like ribbons into the top corner. You can add things like wreaths, outside stuff like that. They actually have an entire section in their seasonal terms of service for Q4 where you're allowed to on the main image. It's just a weird thing that I don't know why they are like, yeah, it's fine as long as it's just for the holiday season. But for the holiday season, you can add it to the main image as well.
Great. Thank you. Can you throw some light on the title density?
Yeah, what I referenced, I think that was in reference to kind of the Helium 10. So title density, and I believe that was coined kind of by Helium 10 specifically, but that idea is how many listings on Amazon have a particular phrase in that exact order in the title. So the higher the density, that means there's more. The lower the density means there's fewer. So like 3, like a chicken shredder, we'll say chicken shredder tool, title density of 50. So 50 listings have exactly chicken shredder tool in their title. And the reason for that, or like, why does that even matter, is that can be an easy win when there are so few, like especially like I kind of do like in sets of like 4, 8, like kind of go down in like the grid on Amazon, like 4, 8, 12, 16, and kind of start looking for the fewer. And I also do this as well for like product development, like, kind of like different product ideas, to find low title density generally means like there's less competition for that keyword. Not always, because it's the very particular kind of phrasing and order of that phrase. But that can be helpful for, just taking certain relevant keywords, putting them in your title and your bullets in different parts of your listing, and then kind of having easy rank for those. So it's like a little kind of like hack. And it can help as well a little bit with product development. But yeah, that's what title density is exactly. And then kind of the reason you would look at title density.
Cool. Thank you. Another question we have just a few more left. When launching, what would you prefer? A less 200 characters title or less than 121 one? So basically, I don't know, like between 120 and 200 characters in the title, like
as much as possible when launching.
200.
As much as possible. If you see any listings that have like super tiny titles, the entire reason they can have tiny titles, I think like Dove soap is a great example of this that I always pull up. The reason they can have like 8 to 9 word titles is because they are Dove soap. They're a multi-billion-dollar brand, right? Like that's why they can do it. People already know them. They don't need help ranking or indexing because they already are number one, right? So always when launching, do more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's something we always look at. Like when we're looking at competition, we're like, how much traffic is being generated outside of Amazon versus on Amazon? Because we rate our competitors. We're like, like for example, Procter and Gamble, their products suck. Look at their images. Look at they actually have one example of Tide Pods. I use it. They had grade A+ content, but they suck. Their titles suck. Like, how are they succeeding, Sumner? They don't follow anything you and Noah said, and they're just crushing it. It's like, yeah, because it's like a multi-billion-dollar company and like these brands, and the traffic is like, how much money is the seller spending on TV ads? That's my question. If it's like
they've been around for 100 years, they don't need help ranking.
Exactly. And maybe they don't even want to rank or make as many sales on Amazon. They just need to be there because, that's where the shoppers are, but they make more profit other places or whatever. And, they actually want to intentionally make things a bit easier depending on what that brand strategy is. But yeah, I think there's a side tangent, but yeah, I agree. Sorry, guys. I'm also getting a little bit tired. So like it just hit me out of nowhere. And I'm like trying to stay just fully focused.
Last 2 questions. Are the different fonts and boldening of bullet points still possible?
I don't think so. I know that used to be a thing back in the day, and people used to abuse the crap out of it. But I don't think really these days you can do it because bullet points, from my understanding nowadays, don't work off of HTML. Like they used to, because that used to be what you would do is if you wanted to bold or anything like that, you could upload HTML formatting and essentially it would keep the HTML formatting, which was interesting. I don't see that really ever anymore. I would imagine Amazon's essentially taken out. And even then, it's not useful. It used to be a cool thing, right, to do. But in this day and age, it serves no real relevant purpose to the actual, ability to sell, I suppose.
Yeah. And I know some sellers have used like Unicode. They translate like text into Unicode and then like use that way of kind of like bolding. But, and also think about like you make these changes. Again, we do talk about the incremental, but like how big is that? Like you make, like you have like, let's say you have a crappy bullet point and then you make it like Unicode. Like what's that going to do? Like focus, like just think about everything that you do. Certain things are going to have a tremendous more leverage in getting your profit up than others. So it's like focusing on the low-hanging fruit and those things that are really going to have the biggest leverage and just focusing on those. Not a bad question at all, by the way. I'm not saying that at all. But that's, even if it was or wasn't, like, it's not going to do much. Like that's just a kind of a general thing, is like focus on those big kind of levers.
All right. The last question. Any ideas on what to add to the main image for recovery coins? Chips, AA chips. We maximize the size and show the back, but would like ideas for adding appeal without going against guidelines. Recovery coins.
I guess I would have to look at specific product. I mean, realistically, if I were to kind of recommend something, let's see if I can even just coin. I mean, realistically, if I was going to say something, you can literally look at the image itself. If you want to share my screen real quick.
Yes.
I guess this. Yeah. So, I mean, just look at recovery coin. right? Like you can see exactly how everyone else does the CTR of showing, you know, the front side and then showing a little badge of the back side. That's about as far for a product like this as you're going to get. You just want to make it as large as possible. You know, this is actually really good of showing both sides. People get it. You know, if you have something like this, make sure the text is actually visible. But especially for a novelty product like this, you know, technically not novelty, but like this is probably the best you're going to get as far as like showing. You need to show the entire product. There's not much else you're going to be able to get out of from a CTR perspective with these kind of products, especially given this. I wouldn't have it like this. I'm not a huge fan of this where it's like tiny. So like if you do have text on your coin, you want to make sure that's very, very visible. So this one is a great example of that. Same with this one where you can actually see the text and read it. That's what you're going to want out of a CTR.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think that's it for this session. It was amazing, more than 1 hour together. Thank you very much, Sumner. Thank you very much, Noah. I think one more time, Sumner, just let us know and let the viewers know how do you help Amazon sellers if you help. By the way, the video YouTube channels of both my Amazon guy and Sumner's and his wife's channels you will find below in the description. And like, yeah, Sumner, tell us if you want to be reached out to and why and so on. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know. First of all, we have 3 great, and I mean this, like great YouTube channels right here. Orange Klik, My Amazon Guy, and Sumner and Allie, just our names, which you can find a lot of great content. I've learned from both of these guys' channels, by the way. I'm constantly learning. So I know we're sharing, let's say, expertise or whatever, but constantly learning, especially on Amazon, changing algorithms, Rufus, you know, buyer trends, tariffs, whatever it is. So anyway, with that being said, yes, we have our YouTube channel. We have a mix of Etsy, Amazon, and now Udemy content. So actually we're adding some new exciting stuff there, new business opportunity. But we have a lot of great content there on YouTube. And yeah, the whole point is like just helping people for free. And also the only way that we help people paid is we have, in terms of the Amazon space, is our Helium 10 affiliate link and our $20 Amazon FBA course. It's 21 hours long. It is super in depth. We've had people who took $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 courses, enroll in ours, or even get an MBA. And if wrote reviews that you could see, they're like, hey, I learned more in this course in my MBA. Like, hey, I took a $5,000 course. It did not even cover like half the stuff you cover here. Super in depth, step-by-step, everything you need in case you're looking to increase your Amazon sales or you want to get into the Amazon game. It can be great for you. But again, you can learn for free on YouTube as well. And follow these guys because they're great.
Yeah, cool. And Noah.
Yeah, you know, I'll keep it short and sweet. We are, you know, My Amazon Guy. We post content on YouTube as well, fully free. We constantly, I think we upload at least 1, sometimes 2 videos a day between myself and Steven. You know, constantly trying to push out as much information to, you know, the general, you know, Amazon seller community as possible. You know, from our perspective, you can also check out our website, myamazonguy.com. We are a full service Amazon agency. So we work essentially with any type of seller, everything from people who are literally just starting all the way up to, you know, enterprise level sellers and brands and businesses. So yeah, if you guys are interested, we have a bunch of both a la carte options that you can see there. You can check out anything. And then on top of that, we also work on, you know, full service contracts as well, fully managing the brand end to end. So yeah, happy to help. And then if you ever want to have some one-on-one time with me, we also do coaching, and you can get some coaching sessions with me. So check us out.
Cool. Thank you very much. Coach Serthi, another coach, says, amazing session. Thanks a lot for the value. And Jennifer, thank you so much for your time and all the expert advice. And Sumner, after this session, please send us the link to the Google Sheet template so we can add it to the description. So
yep,
thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Bye. And now I would like to invite you to watch other video where you will hear more strategies which will help you to optimize your keywords and product listings for better ranking. So check this out.